Hey, look who's here today. Yeah, we forgot about our Spitfire. No, we haven't. We had some issues with it and today we're gonna solve them, I hope. So we brought it here in the shop and we're gonna do some work on it. We have the TR6 there at the back still. We have to do a little bit of work on it too, but that's gonna be another video anyways. In this video, we're gonna focus on the Spitfire. And what are the issues? Well, first of all, the alternator bracket. I showed you in one video the first time it broke and I fixed it, I welded it and I installed it and it broke again. And before it broke actually, I noticed that when the engine was running, the alternator was shaking a little, and that's actually what made this bracket break the first time and even the second time. So when it broke for a second time, I decided to investigate and see why the alternator was shaking. One of the reasons was in the alternator itself, so I had to take it out and I installed temporarily another alternator. This is from my GT6, and the third reason was the belt. So I have to take it apart to show you, but when I figured this out, I was here at work with the Spitfire. I had no other transportation to go home, so I had to put it back together. So that's why I installed this alternator. I put back the belt, and meanwhile while I was working on this, the radiator started leaking. Just as I was working here, suddenly I saw it started getting wet here and started dripping down on the floor. So it was weird anyways. So I decided just to put it together. I put the alternator from the GT6, I put the same belt back. I made sure I had a couple of bottles of water in the trunk, and I decided to go home. And while I was going home, on every traffic light people were showing me that it was leaking underneath, so I knew it was leaking anyway. So a couple of times I stopped and I added water in the radiator and I made it home. And when I made it home, I wanted to put some plate underneath or something so it doesn't leak on the floor in the garage, and surprisingly it stopped leaking. Anyways, the car sat for a while at home for maybe 2 weeks, I think, waiting for a new radiator because I ordered a new one. And now that the new radiator came, I brought it here to install the radiator, and suddenly it wasn't leaking. All the way from home to here it wasn't leaking, and now it's totally dry. So I don't know what happened, how it started leaking and then it doesn't leak anymore. But whatever, I have the new radiator, I'm going to install it. And I'll show you also now what the problem with the belt here and with the alternator is. Oh. Okay, so what happened here? My theory, that's my theory. I don't know if that's really actually what happened, but that's my theory. So the belt, for some reason, started stretching out. I remember that in the beginning of the summer I had to tighten it couple of times and it kept coming loose, and suddenly it looks like, you see this part here, how much thinner it is than the other side. So it became thinner here, and I think there was one more area like that. Yeah, so here and here the belt is much thinner than the other side. So that's what was making the alternator shaking, because it goes up on the pulley and then it comes down and then it comes up again and then it comes down again right here. So that's what was happening. It was shaking the alternator a lot. From all that shaking, what happened was, first of all, this hole here, there's a bushing inside, which I took out now, but the bushing became really loose inside this hole. It wore the hole out and the bushing started shaking inside. So this side of the alternator was shaking like that all the time when the belt was going up and down on the pulley here. And of course this bracket or tensioner or whatever it is broke here from shaking. So that was the first time I fixed it, and then it broke again. And then when I took it apart the next time, I figured out this was worn And also this whole mount here was broken off. It was literally broken. I regret now I didn't take picture or anything. I just took the alternator to a alloy welding shop and they welded it back for me. So this is fine now, but now we have to make another bushing for here that is fitting perfectly in this hole. So basically, when I took it apart the last time, this bracket was broken, this was broken, this was loose, so it was shaking like crazy. So basically the only thing that was holding the alternator there was the belt. So well, now I think we are fine. This is welded, so we're gonna make a bushing for here. We're gonna install back our original pulley because this is the pulley from the other alternator. So we're gonna put back our original pulley and fan here. And hopefully we can use our alternator again because it has the original wiring for here. I did some weird wiring there on that alternator now temporarily to be able to drive the car home. So yeah, so that's the whole explanation. Okay, about the radiator, I believe you remember that in the beginning of the summer I did something stupid. I screwed up my own radiator just by simply not installing one washer on the water pump pulley, and oops, the fan came loose, the pulley came loose together with the fan, and that damaged my radiator. And then I installed another radiator from my 68 Spitfire, but I always had troubles with this radiator. I always had heating issues, not overheating, but heating issues in the summer. So now finally, when it started leaking, I decided to order a new radiator, the proper one with the wide one because the other one was a small one. So that's my new radiator and we're gonna install it now. It's coming from Moss Motors, but it is I bought it from a local supplier here around Toronto. The business name is British Autosport, but everybody knows them as just Fred because Fred is the owner there. And if you're from Toronto, you probably know him, but I just wanted to mention here that there's local supplier of British car parts in the Toronto area. He's near Hamilton, and he gave me this wholesale edition parts list for MG, Triumph, Austin, Healey, Jaguar, Mini, all different types of cars. And here this is let's say Triumph 250 and 6. Here you have all the parts numbers from Moss, and it is a beautiful catalog. It's for all cars. You can find all the part numbers for everything, and you can see schematics of everything that you need. For example, that's the 250 rear bumper, and you can see all the washers and nuts and brackets and everything. So thank you so much, Fred, for this catalog. It's gonna be really helpful in my future restorations, and I can easily find what I need and I can order it directly. So that's again British Autosport. You can Google them, but I'm sure if you're in Toronto you know that already, but I'm just mentioning it just in case you're not aware of that. Okay, so I think we should start with the radiator. Now for some reason the petcock doesn't open, so I can't drain the rad really, so I'm gonna just remove the whole petcock. Alright, so we're gonna pull the fan out. Remember, this fan we installed, but it didn't help a whole lot just because the radiator was extremely small. We're still gonna put this fan on the other radiator just in case, you know, but I don't think we're gonna need it, but just in case, and since the wiring is done and everything, it's better if we keep it. Okay, so the radiator is installed. I also installed the electric fan, but if you notice here, I installed it a little bit to the side because on the other side I still have my mechanical fan, and I thought that it would be a good idea this one to be on the other side, so it helps. It doesn't overlap what the other fan is doing. It's gonna be just helping for this other side, which is far away from the other engine, from the other fan. So anyways, I still cannot start the car because I have to replace the alternator and install the belt, the new belt that I bought. So let's deal with the alternator now. First of all, I'm going to disconnect the battery because we don't want that wire to shorten somewhere. So the battery is disconnected. And I'm going to take it out. Okay, so that's the bolt that has to fit inside this hole, and you see what's going on. Well, there must be a bushing there, like this one, which, although if we try to fit this one there, even this one is loose. So that's why I'm gonna take this nut. I'm gonna file the threads inside so this bolt can travel inside without having to be threaded. And then I'm gonna file the outside too, so it fits there. I should have told the guys that welded this to fill up this with weld, and then I was gonna have to drill another hole and use the same bushing as on this one, but I didn't think of that. Anyways, so now we're gonna have to figure out our own way. Actually, I found another nut with a wider wall, so I can have more juice to work with. Okay, perfect. So now the outside. So after all, I have to play a little bit with the hole too. I know I don't want to make the holes, I don't want to make the walls too thin, but still I have no other option. I have to make it a little bit more round because it was like a oval. Okay, it's almost thin. So now the last thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna cut a notch in it so it can shrink a little bit, so we don't damage the, what should we call it, the alternator. It looks like it's moving again now, but it's moving because the engine is moving. Before I was seeing it literally playing like that from the engine, you know. Now it is perfect. So hopefully that solves the problem. The stupid belt was our main problem here. Can't believe that. anyways, I think that's it for the Spitfire, guys, today. Just a short video, but I wanted to show you what I was up to. And yeah, thanks for watching and commenting and subscribing. And I'm gonna jump to that guy over there, the TR6, but that's gonna be another video. So this one is gonna end here. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.